Cool. So what you say, man?
I'm here, mate. I'm here.
What's been going on? What's been happening?
The last few months I've been on the road a lot teaching.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of stuff. We work in prisons now.
Oh, is education based? Yeah.
We work in prisons.
Mm-hmm.
We support alternative provision, which is basically young people that can't go to mainstream education for whatever reason. Health, learning difficulties.
Yeah.
So we do some stuff like that. We work in special schools.
Mm-hmm.
So schools that are set up to support kids with mild to severe learning difficulties.
Yeah.
Some very physical as well.
Wow.
And a lot of that's all over the country. We're in Stoke-on-Trent, Leicester, Somerset, Barking. And for the last kind of few months, it's been 4 days a week on the road.
Right.
1,000 miles, £250 petrol, all over the gaff. But it's wicked, man. It's taken priority, even over the music stuff. Hence why production has taken a back burner.
Yeah.
But what an amazing thing to be doing, man.
Well, so when you're, because I mean, obviously I've known about education base for a while now, but when you're taking it into schools now and you're taking it into all these places, what exactly are you doing? I mean, how are you sort of like, are you doing this, what would be an example of something you do with the kids?
So to put it into context slightly,
Yeah.
I was a crap student at school.
Right.
I was in that era where teachers were like, if you don't get any GCSEs, you're going to amount to nothing and there's no jobs for you and whatnot. I had chronic anxiety. I didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
I'd look around me and all my friends were doing their homework. I just felt dumb.
Yeah.
Teachers made me feel dumb.
Yes.
So I left school thinking, you know, thankfully by the time I was 16, I was going over to Germany to play jungle and, you know, I was DJing and kind of fell into that.
Yeah.
And I thought, cool, that's all right, this is my thing.
Yeah.
But academically, I felt absolutely stupid.
Right.
I realised later on in life that I had got diagnosed with chronic anxiety, potentially type 2 bipolar as well.
Right.
But realised I could learn, but I did it in a slightly different way.
Right.
I went back to education 15 years later. I did a master's in advanced music technology.
Right.
And I done a teaching degree. I was like, hang on, this isn't supposed to be me.
Yeah, because
I'm dumb. Remember, I was told that at school.
Yeah.
I felt dumb my whole life. How am I 2% away from getting a scholarship to a PhD or a master's?
Yeah.
When I was the dumb one at school.
Yeah.
So that's my story, man. So
Yeah.
I'm going around. We're working with these underprivileged, disadvantaged, however, you know, these young people that can't make it in mainstream education, and we're helping them towards a qualification. The ones that are kind of more able. They're working towards qualifications, man. Like we've just done a project up in Nottingham where we took 5 young people from a youth organisation, disadvantaged backgrounds, mental health issues, and it's the first of its kind. As far as we know, the ones that have passed, some at merit, some at distinction, it's the first of its kind, a project that in the youth sector, these young people have done what's the equivalent to the first year of a degree.
Yeah.
From coming with no GCSEs and stuff. So similar to my story.
Yeah.
So our thing is, it's not about the qualification. It's about the discipline, it's about the transferable skills, but yes, you can do it. So what we're doing, and even these kids with like, you know, was in Barking last week for 3 days, and there's kids in there in wheelchairs, you know, I'm talking serious needs and support. Yeah, they're smiling, they're making beats, and it's like, so from that level to those that are achieving accreditation, so there's formal and informal. So we're just going in through the power of music, showing people that just how powerful music can be and bringing people together, breaking down barriers and learning. Yeah. You know?
So it's sort of like letting kids know that there's, I mean, obviously you're going in with a different mindset than the sort of conventional school structure. So for one, is going to be way more interesting for the kids anyway. But then through that, I mean, have you seen examples of them maybe going into other things, or have they all sort of ended up doing the music thing, or is it something that's enabled them to?
It's still quite new.
Yeah.
We really started this work properly about a year ago.
Okay.
This September we started going into the schools and the prisons and did some stuff before the summer, so it's still relatively new.
What's the prisons like?
Is good the right word?
Yeah.
Is that amazing the right word?
Yeah.
Because we're going in there and we tomorrow's our third week out of a 12-week pilot that could result into a long-term contract, and it's branded the most violent prison in the UK.
Which one's that?
Warrington. Young Offenders Institute.
Right. Okay.
The report in they need a lot of support, and a lot of things have gone down in that prison.
Yeah.
And we're in there every Thursday with some young people, and the results, the engagement, the progression, it's great.
And there's been no kind of like...
So far, you know, but I've said to my colleague, you know, we might get banged out. There might be a situation.
Yeah.
But we've put ourselves in that environment and we'll do what we can for that not to be the case.
Yeah.
But this is what we're doing, and we come out there buzzing, man.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, no, I bet.
You know, and that's but it's interesting. We didn't know about the report until afterwards. Like, we knew they had issues.
Yeah.
And after the first session, I looked online and I sent my boy the report. I was like, mate, this is what we're dealing with. The report actually said like... the people that read the report said they've never ever seen such a bad report ever.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is what we're working with. But I think it just, you know, I think if you can, because I come from a similar environment. You know, I was born into a culture, into an environment, council estate, and a lot of my friends have gone down that road. I just about swerved it. I think if you have an understanding of road, or however you want to put it, and you can teach, and you can come down to a level, or not even down to a level, you can get on a level, because it's not down at all, no, if you can get on a level with these young people but still maintain that kind of barrier and respect, and it's a two-way respect thing, then I think that can go a long way.
Because the respect is really important with them guys, isn't it? It's like if you go in there and try and play bad man, they're going to just tear you apart. But if you just go in and say, look, this is what we can do, this is how we can enable you to learn new skills, something you can take when you come out of here, then surely they're going to be empowered by that. It must be...
Yeah, and you know, we went in and for some reason we weren't on the list of that day's kind of learning last week.
Yeah.
And the guy, the other prison officer, like, they're chomping in the bit. They were so disappointed to not see you were coming in.
Right, okay.
Thank God you're here. And, and like, they've been chomping at the bit. And then we have other prisoners like, why ain't we in here? Why ain't we in here? And it's, you know, it's cool, man. And they're all writing bars, telling their story. Now they're making beats to accompany their bars, and you know, it's a cool thing.
So you're doing songwriting now as well. Is that part of, or is it just, or is that just what's happening there?
Naturally, it's just happening. But you know, we come across a lot of young people that have got something to say, and they do it through the power of words.
Yeah,
you know?
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So how long has been Education at Base been going now then?
5 years now.
Jesus, yeah, because I remember when you started the whole thing and
down at Brick Lane.
Yes.
That was the first event, because it was an event at first.
Yeah.
Down at 93 Feet East.
Yeah.
And then we moved over to the other event that Sunday afternoon. Yes. And then we did 6 or 8 events.
Yeah.
And then we took it online as a education platform.
Right.
And took it around the world as a concept, man.
Yeah.
You
and
know,
obviously you collabed a couple of times with Clash Mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We won't talk about the last one, but I love doing Clash
Mouth. That's all good, man.
We love doing Clash Mouth. It's something amongst the E&B. We're like, we really love that. Doing that and being amongst the community. But yeah, man. And now we're here doing what we're doing in other capacities, and it's amazing, man. Like, as much as I'm doing 60-hour weeks, driving 1,000 miles, and don't get me wrong, I was driving back from Somerset the other day past Stonehenge thinking, what am I doing? But you know, I've just been with a young person that we're changing his life. Yeah. You know, for the next 2 years we're with that young person in Somerset, and you know, he's now able to socialise and be around people where he wasn't before. And that makes it all worthwhile.
And that's just from you guys sort of showing him how to make tunes?
Make tunes, but also kind of decorating the accreditation, and like, it doesn't have to be this chalk and talk method where you're like the teacher and you're letting these young people discover their own way of learning, and you're taking them through and you're decorating maths and English, compression ratios, beats, bars and measures, that's all maths. You know, and the terminology that you learn through music, that's English.
That's English, 100%.
So you're decorating these functional skills that are needed to get on in the big old world, and showing them that there are opportunities out there. Whether you're centre stage as a musician or a DJ is one thing, but actually the industry itself is vast.
Huge.
Any job you can think of outside of the industry exists inside the industry, from catering to security to design to cleaners, whatever. You know, you get your foot in the door, and that's how, as you know, that's kind of how it happens. And man, so we're giving these people some real hope, and we're not saying there's going to be a job at the end of it for you. No. But where you weren't able to engage with education before, you are now. You've got a creative outlet. It's great for mental health, and there are jobs out there.
And you might find, and obviously there's talent as well to be found as well. I mean that my A&R head goes on automatically always, like, a little bit.
For real, honestly, there's been, and even I was at Bedford College for 7 years, teaching FE, and I was teaching the degree there, and there's some talent.
No, it's cool, man.
Definitely.
So I know you sort of skipped over it not quickly, but you just sort of like, you know, one of the things that I've always respected you for, and is like last sort of like 2 or 3 years, maybe I would have said, maybe it might be longer, it might be less, but you've definitely been an advocate for mental health. You've spoken about it quite openly and freely and sort of honestly. I mean, where did that journey start? Like, because you sort of mentioned that you had severe anxiety, and you thought maybe bipolar. You were saying?
Yeah, they said the last assessment I had, they suspected type 2 bipolar. I said, you can keep that one. I'll take the anxiety one.
Right.
I've lived with that one. You know what? You keep that one. It's probably true, but you know.
Yeah. So is that been something you've had in your life, your own sort of struggles with it, like for a long time, or is that sort of something?
Whole life, man. Yeah. And I didn't know it. Like, the only thing I can compare it to is anyone that's been super excited on Christmas Eve, had butterflies in their stomach when they can't sleep.
Right.
I've got that 24/7.
Right, okay.
And I was like, is this normal? Is this excitement? Is this... And apparently it's chronic anxiety, it's constant panic attacks.
Right.
It's not the sort of panic attacks that you're having when you're out. It's not social anxiety.
Right.
I can be in crowds, obviously I DJ, you know, obviously get natural nerves and stuff, but these are like constant, frequent anxiety attacks. And there were times where it was excruciating. A lot of it through post self-inflicting with drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
We can get into that a bit later, but you know, I think a lot of anxiety and mental health is self-inflicted.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was there. And when I went to see a therapist, I did like 18 weeks of therapy, one-to-one therapy. Okay. And we dug deep into where it came from.
Right.
And it stemmed from things like my mum back in the day saying, you wait till your dad gets home, and me being shit scared, hiding and like being all like, and my dad was this 6-foot Glaswegian. Every other word was a swear word. Yeah. He was scary. Yeah. Right? My dad, you didn't run from my dad. No one understood what he said apart from me. I had to translate it all the time, but he was scary. Right. And when he says, wait till your dad comes home, I was scared. Yeah. Because I would get the belt on occasion. I don't feel like I was abused. Yeah. I got the belt, I got a slap, I got the slipper. Yeah. You know, I got beaten when they felt it was deserved. It weren't excessive. Yeah. You know, but I think that generation we're kind of similar in that sense.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And extend from that fear and the yelling and like and then it kind of grew and became a part. I'm not saying that was the only thing. There was other things.
There's other things.
The drinking, you know, alcohol, coming down off of drugs and alcohol. Yeah. Having anxiety and depression, but yeah, it's something that I've lived with my whole life. I still get it every day. Some days are worse than others. It's just that in my stomach, and I've just had to cope with it and learn how to live with it. Yeah,
because mine was after my therapy. It was Christopher, you're always a problem. That's what the because my mum had a difficult birth, even though she had three kids before me. She had a really difficult birth with me, and so there was this narrative that was set very early on, and my mum would always say, because you're always such a problem. I'm not blaming my mum, it's just what she was trying to do, and she was always trying to, like, you know, she was kind of just trying to goad me into not being one. But what that did, it set a precedent for me to be antagonistic and problematic. So it is, you know, so the mums, they as much as they they try to help, it can sort of cause more problems. And
it's mad, isn't it, what you can, because I was thinking about some of this stuff last night about why I became a fighter. Yes. And I was thinking about this last night, and like, I mean, from school, so I was born into poverty. Yeah. I don't want to say I was the poorest person in my school. I was poor. Yeah. You know, there was a place called Hob Days in town in Bedford where you'd buy shoes, you'd rummage through, and you'd have to find two that matched. Yeah. And they didn't match. I had to go to school like that. Yeah. And kids being kids, they make fun of that. Yeah. And you know, back then it was like, you tramp. You know, everyone called each other a tramp amongst a load of other things. And then one day, because it was a thing, everyone was calling everyone a tramp that seemed not to have as much money as the other kids. Yeah. And I just started hitting people that called me that. And when I realised I had some fists, so I just used to hit them. Yeah. And it stopped. Yeah. And it stopped, you know, like bang, and you know, I'm not proud of it. Yeah. So from that to that whole punch first, think later thing that stayed with me for life. Yeah. Because from then, and my dad always said to me, look, like, get in there first. Yeah. Like, if you sense a vibe, you know, that's so not how I am now. No. But it was how I was brought up. Yeah. Dad was like, kick him in the nuts, whack him in the chin, you know, whatever you do to get in there. And I developed that at middle school. And they stopped, which was cool. And I was like, okay, cool. So, you know, if anyone's trying to take advantage of me, I can hit them, and it's all right. Yeah. And then that kind of stayed with me. And then when I started drinking at 13, I was the life and the soul of the party. But if I sensed any negative energy from anyone, my first thing was to just hit out.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, most of the time, probably all the time, uncalled for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's no need to even be like that.
Yeah.
But but going back to things stemming from what you put in place from childhood.
Absolutely.
And but it was my dad like hitting first, so maybe as a result, my dad bringing me up like that. If you're gonna, it's not a blame thing. I had a choice.
Yeah.
But that was embedded into me. You know, my dad kind of felt proud. He was like a boxer in the army, and like he was that. That's where they love to fight, and he was a brawler. Lost all his teeth from fighting back in the day, and unfortunately, some parents kind of bring up their kids to feel like that's the right way to go about it.
I mean, parents do the best they can sometimes, do you know what I mean? But it's like, it's not always the right thing, innit? You know what I mean? It sets sort of weird precedents. But I mean, that is something. One of the things I always remember about you was the outrage off, as I often call it, because there was that other guy. Do you remember the other dude called Outrage?
Yeah. Well, I do, but I don't. It was You reminded me a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember kind of running around Shoreditch. It was a blur.
Yeah, it was a blur. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You were charged. It was fine. It's fine. Like it's all over. You know what I mean? But it was one of the things that I remembered. But I kind of rated you for it because it was Jack's nightclub.
Was it?
Yeah, and I think it might have even been a Life FM event. I can't remember, but he was from Newcastle, if I remember correctly. And you had just got your first release, or was about to have your first release of Metalheads. And then this other guy called Outrage was from Newcastle coming down, and you went to go and tell him, like, yeah, you got to change your name, blood. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, wait, you know what I mean? But it was...
How did we even hear he was round the corner?
I can't remember what it was, but I'm sure there was a flyer, and whether we discussed it beforehand or you had seen it and told me, and I came with you because I was on Life FM at the time. I think that's what it was. So I do think it was a Life FM event, but I could be wrong. So Paul, Roasty, and the crew, if I've got that wrong, I apologise. But there was another guy called Outrage, and I remember that you went to confront him about it.
Yeah, it's not the way to go about things.
No.
That was a classic. That was classic me back then.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time I was a dick.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it was the alcohol that was in me.
Yes.
But the alcohol amplified it.
Yes.
And took away certain sensible judgment and decisions.
Yeah.
But it was me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, it's the alcohol, because it's bull. That was in me.
Yeah.
There was an anger and a rage in me that came out more when I was drunk. And I was an angry kid. Like, there was this, didn't quite get into, therapy didn't quite get to the essence of what that was, but I'd flip as a kid. I went anger management when I was 18.
Yeah.
I've always been very angry.
Yeah.
But again, my dad and my mum both have really short fuses. And is that hereditary? Is it a product of your environment?
Yeah.
Or is that deep rooted? I'm not entirely sure, but I was always very angry, and the alcohol just allowed it to come out easier.
Yeah.
But it was me.
But the thing is like, you've obviously changed your destiny now, because it doesn't, whether or not that's the case, now you're not like that. Like, and you're aware of it, and you could be, I wish I had a little bit more self-control most recently, but as I was discussing before, but sometimes, things happen, and you sort of like question yourself, well, why did that happen? How did that happen? Do you know what I mean? You don't really know where some of these things come from, and then some people are just looking for a fight all the time. Do you know what I mean? And you're just like, but they're very different things, and no matter what you were going through at the time, like, you were always really, really kind and generous with me, and that's one of the things that, even though I saw this other guy, like, sort of out there, with me, you were always kind and generous towards me, and we became friends of, it's got to be 20, almost 20 years now.
Yeah, literally,
Like, we've known each other, and it's like, it's never really been something, I've never felt like, oh shit, Andy's gonna like do me one, do you know what I mean? But you're always an amazing talent. That's what I clearly remember, from when we were doing Technicality down at Herbal. And then you sort of like, in my mind, you sort of disappeared, and then there was like this nominee guy. Do you know what I mean?
There's a big journey there.
Yeah. So how did that come about?
Outrage got very dark, not just the music.
Right, okay.
You know, it's Outrage by name, Outrage by nature.
Right.
And basically, from when you knew me going out and about, maybe tipping over a certain point and becoming a problem, which happened quite frequently, it was at the time where I was getting more attention as an artist. So I was doing stuff for metalheads. And I think what I did a gig in Lithuania. At the time, on my rider was a bottle of vodka and 10 beers. I never got through that alcohol. I'd get through half the bottle of vodka. I remember Paradox was there. And I remember it was at this art thing, there was about 1,000 people, and I was pulling moonies to the crowd while I was DJing and doing some stupid crap. And then, like, I mean, who does
Sorry,
that?
I shouldn't laugh, but it's just like...
You know, at least in the middle of my set. Like, who
Who
does that? I mean, there's so many stories like that, it's just silly. But, you know, I've got kids as well, right?
Yeah.
And then, so what happened was, a few days later, someone posted a picture on Dogs on Acid. It was the promoter, actually, and I flipped on the promoter. I was over a chair with an empty bottle of vodka like that, I was like, my kids could see that. So it was kind of a bit of a transitional thing that was like, I can't be out and about in the limelight behaving like this. And there's other things and fights I got into, industry related stuff, and I was like, I just can't be doing this, man. This is silly. I'm ruining my career. I don't want to be this person. It's not good, you know, I'm being a dick. So I became this closet drinker. So I could go on tour, not touch a drink, and that was fine, because for me it was binge drinking. It weren't the necessity to drink.
That's what I remember.
My dad was a daily dependent alcoholic, brothers, sisters. I come from alcoholism. That's where that comes from. I was a binger. I could take it or leave it, but when I took it, I took it. There weren't I drank to get smashed. I didn't drink. I hate the taste. Anyone that says they love, I didn't like the taste. If I wanted the taste, it'd be a sparkling water, fruit juice, something that I like the taste of. It was to get smashed. So I drink as much as I can, as quick as I could. So I could go on tour. I'd go to America, because all these mad things were happening on tour as well. Not just that, like I'd been stranded in Australia, waking up under a stage at a festival in an air hangar in Eastern Europe, missing planes, having to cough up $1,000 to get home, and you know, loads and loads of stories like that where I'm surprised that I'm even alive. So I knocked all that on the head while I was DJing. Became this closet drinker, so I go on tour and I get back home, and then I'd have a drink to celebrate, you know, wind down. There's that come down off being on tour. 2 days go past, I'm still drinking. 3 days go past, I'm still drinking. So those binges got longer and longer and longer. And I moved to Thailand. 2007. I was doing a project in Thailand. This is where I kind of started to fade out in the drum and bass side of things. We launched a project called JTech.
Yes, I remember the JTech thing.
Randall, Tango, God rest his soul, Digital, Ratty, Digital, myself. You know, we did this project. It was basically bringing back that flavour at 140, 150, the rave, jungle techno stuff.
Jungle techno.
So that blew up quite quickly. Like Randall and I went on tour to Asia. We were doing stuff like all over Europe. It became a genre on certain stores. They were calling it JTech. It was a thing.
It blew up.
So a lot of energy went into that. But I was living in Thailand for a project back then, 2007, and it got real dark in Thailand. Like I was on my own, a million miles away, getting smashed, going over to Australia touring, getting smashed, and things got really, really dark. Being in a place like that, Zen philosophy. I was sampling one day in the studio, and I come across this Zen monk talking about something that kind of, well, I can't remember what it said, but it definitely shook me at the point. And then I started to just dabble in different tempos and doing my thing, similar to maybe how me and Amit were doing things with a half-time drum and bass, but doing it at 140. I had no comprehension of what dubstep actually was. I used to take the piss out of it. I was a genre snob. I used to laugh, even though we were, though, it's the same as us jungle kids. Didn't know what we were doing. People were probably laughing at us back in the day. I was this genre, you can't produce, it sounds rubbish and shit, and I didn't even know what dubstep was. And I was just doing my thing at 140. Long story short, I got signed to Temper. But the whole message and the music behind it was, I discovered all this ethnic instrumentation, philosophy, Eastern scales, and the whole sound became just this total contrast to what Outrage was. And it took me into a place where I discovered the likes of Alan Watts and Sadhguru and just these kind of philosophers and these conscious messages that just helped me kind of put the Outrage thing on the back burner for a bit, because it was real dark and got real horrible. That helped me kind of venture into this new terrain. But there was a really important point though where I had to stop drinking 10 years ago. 10 years ago last month, where I hands down, I'd be dead now.
Right.
Not just my words. These were experts, like kind of therapists and other addicts that helped me get through a certain situation.
Yeah.
My last binge was 13 days long.
Right.
And I don't remember much. When I say a binge, a daily dependent alcoholic will top up.
Yes.
Constantly.
Yeah.
I'm talking blackout drunk for 13 days.
Blood.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I took myself down A&E first. Said, look, I'm going to jump in front of a bus or tear my stomach out if you don't give me something to... Because I was at the point I couldn't physically drink anymore.
Yeah.
But the mental side of it, I just could not cope. I just wanted to switch it off. So I said, give me something or I'm going to end it.
Yeah.
Right? So gave me some medication to suppress the mad anxiety. I just wanted to tear my stomach out. Took myself down to an alcohol drugs awareness centre, drop-in centre. This young lady looked at me and she said, you're going to die.
Yeah.
You can't black out for a weekend and expect to survive 13
Yeah.
days. And I was getting worse and worse and worse.
Alcohol's so crazy.
You know?
Yeah.
And then from that moment, I haven't touched alcohol. It was a combination of how grey I looked and felt, how depressed I was, how anxious I was, everything. And then for her to look me straight in the eyes and say, you're going to die. Something just switched.
Yeah.
And I haven't touched alcohol since. I don't think about alcohol without my stomach churning.
Yeah.
Something just switched.
Yeah.
And then that was kind of at the transition point of Nominee as well, where it just became this more just not aggressive, dark vibe that I actually was that.
Yeah.
What I was projecting in my music was me. The anger, the darkness, the randomness with the edits. That was my brain, you know. And then it become this serene Nominee thing that happened to fall into the dubstep bracket. I didn't know what dubstep was. The first time I went to a dubstep rave was playing in Hollywood with Jay Kenzo at Smog. Hadn't been to a dubstep rave, didn't own a dubstep record. I was just doing my thing at 140.
And you were just playing all your own stuff, basically?
Playing all my own stuff. 10 years later, Nominee's 10 years as well. Haven't drunk for 10 years. So it's a decade. It was a really important decade, man.
That's important. Yeah, and you know who introduced me to, because Helen, God rest her soul. But she who, this No Mine.
Well, I've heard it all. Nominee.
No Mine, it's No Mine, guys. It's got this amazing tunes. It's like, you know what I mean? I didn't know it was you. Do you know what I mean?
No one did.
It was brilliant. It was a secret. And so, like, you know, she was constantly playing all your tunes. And I got introduced to a lot of music because of Helen, to be honest. Because she was such a massive fan of music, such a big fan of music. But she had her own battles, as obviously we know. But it was kind of ironic though, because there was a lot of, listening to you now, there's a lot of similarity with the peace and tranquility that she was looking for in some of the music that she was, you know, listening to, and she found that very much in your music. So it was quite a shock to hear it was you. Do you know what I mean? Because it was like, you know what I mean. So did the temper? When you say you sort of skipped a little bit with that, with the temper thing, were you? How did that happen? Because Temper has obviously, you know, become a sort of seminal label in that whole dubstep world or 140 world. Do you know what I mean? Like, did you send them stuff, or did they hear stuff of yours?
So I was doing my thing, and my boy Jose, Dynamic, big up Bedford boy, was running a label called Dubzilla. Right. And I just did a load of 140 stuff. Mala was playing stuff. I sent some stuff. I just hit Mala up. I can't remember if it was Facebook or how it was back then, like 10 years ago. Yeah, maybe MySpace, I don't know. So I hit Mala up and he was like, he was kind of interested in a couple of bits. I was like, wow, like, first ever 140 bits, Mala. So anyway, so I was doing my 140 thing, and Amit started doing some 140 bits as well. Yes. And Amit got a guest show on Youngsters Rinse Show, Minimal Mondays, which was like, you know, it was a very important period for dubstep and bass music. Like everyone religiously looked into Minimal Mondays. So he did a guest slot on there, played one of my tracks called Jar Pan that was on the Dubzilla EP. And Youngster was like, oh, what's this? He was like, oh, it's my mate, Nominee. But also, I think it was all a secret thing, because I told no one not to say it. And 2 years I maintained that. And then Amit played at System with Vivek and said, oh, this is Youngster, this is the guy that made that track. Right. We got talking, sent him a few tunes, bang, 5-album deal, 3-album deal. Ended up doing 3 EPs, 5 EPs and an album. Right. You know how it is. Yeah. Because then I just wanted to go off and do my own thing, kind of, you know. And that was that. Yeah. Like, it was, you know, again, right place, right time, who you know. Yeah. Always plays a big part. Network, people, network. Definitely network. It's definitely about the network. But my second release as Nominee was on Tempo. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty amazing.
It's mental.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't even know what dubstep was, man.
Yeah.
I enjoy now listening to like Forward tapes and Scream from back in 2006, which is the stuff I laughed at.
Yeah.
Or I thought, I didn't even know what it was, to be fair. Might have heard one tune and judged the whole scene and everyone in it based on like this underproduced music. But actually, it was a culture, it was a movement, it was exactly what we did with Jungle, but in a different time.
Yeah.
And I grew a love and respect for it.
And then, so what made you want to bring Outrage back then after that?
Baby, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a jungle kid.
Yeah. That's what I was hoping you'd say, yeah.
I was jungle kid, man. I was saving my school dinner money every day to buy a slate of vinyl on a Saturday, man. I'm a jungle kid.
Yeah.
And it was just that transitional point where I was going to quit music.
Yeah.
Because it was getting so dark and so horrible. You know, when you thinking like you want to end things and stuff.
Yeah.
I had to change circles. I had to change things.
Yeah.
Because if you want change, you have to change.
Yeah.
And at that time, I had to just... Also, I was sick of feeling like I was doing the same thing. So from an artist perspective, you know, we can moan about Photek, it doesn't sound like his peak years, or Dillinger. But when you're doing the same thing over and over, you've got to keep yourself stimulated. It's all right for us to say, we preferred that era, they should have kept doing that. But how, they'd have quit.
Yeah.
Because it got so boring.
Exactly.
Like, you know, so I was at that point as well with Outrage. I was like, I need a challenge.
Yes.
I've done stuff on some amazing labels, Metalheads and Function and Interactive and some my top labels. I've done that stuff.
Yeah.
I need a new challenge. So a lot of it was either quit music due to the mental health and the alcohol, or a new challenge. And I did nominate anonymously for 2 years with the ambition of getting a mask. If I ever got asked to DJ, I was going to do that one. But what happened was, my first booking was at what's that big venue in Brixton called now again?
Mass?
No, the other one across the road.
Electric.
So contact there. I bought this ninja mask. I bought a couple of masks.
Yeah.
First, I bought one that might have made me look like a terrorist. I'll scrap that one, right? So I bought a ninja mask. I found a ninja mask. Yeah. The whole nominee thing at the time was quite Eastern and whatever. Like, bust this mask. There was a big thread on dubstep forum. Who is nominee? Is it Burial? Is it Zombie? Who is it? And there was this, and I wanted to keep that mystique going. Yeah. So I bought the mask, but obviously got absolutely smashed. Dashed the mask idea. The next day, it's Outrage on dubstep forum.
Didn't last long.
I was like, I do wonder if I'd have kept that mystique, what, you know, it would have been a fun thing to kind of carry.
I mean, I do envy some of the people that sort of kept their sort of like, I mean, you know, for a long time people didn't know who Burial was or what he looked like.
Yeah, even now, is it that picture that we see? I mean, I don't know, it's like still a weird kind of thing about it, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But, you know, you've got Zombie, you know, obviously there's pictures of Zombie, but he wears
Who's the other one? SK... Subtract.
Yeah,
Subtract. Does he still manage to keep his...
I haven't seen much about Subtract for a minute. Yeah. But, you know, obviously you've got people that wear masks that you also know what they look like.
Yes.
But I do wonder if I'd have tried to maintain that mystique.
Yeah. I think MF Doom done it best anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He done the metal face.
So anyway, that came out, and then, but yeah, the Outrage thing. I'm a jungle kid, man.
Yeah.
And like, I've never stopped listening to it. You know, I have a certain era that I listen to all the time. Yeah. You know, that's me. I'm stuck in a time lapse there. But yeah, man, I'm a jungle kid.
And I mean, it wouldn't. I knew I'd have to bring him up. But for me, it was digital. You know, I mean, talk to me about that relationship, because I mean, that seems to have been going on for quite some time now.
20 odd years.
20 odd years now. Yeah. And you know, there's things I've learned about Steve. I mean, I talk to Steve like with pals, but you know, there's things I've learned about Steve, about the people that he's sort of helped influence and bring into the scene, and I would love to get him on here to talk about that actually. But I mean,
doesn't always get the credit either.
Listen, there's certain
doesn't always get the credit.
Honestly, what's the Welsh boy? Oh, I forgot his bloody name now. Oh my god, I can't believe it's just popped out of my head.
Me too. You've just thrown it out of my head.
He was on hospital. Oh my god. Anyway, we're gonna go back through this and then
right, I know exactly.
You know what I'm talking about?
Clint. What's his name?
Sorry. Is that we're gonna someone's gonna remember.
Brain fart.
Yeah. But like with the afro, he was formerly on hospital. Now it's not. He's on on 3 Beat, And I can't believe his name's popped out of my head. That's bad.
I don't think we're talking about the same person.
No, we're not talking about the same person.
Cool.
Yeah,
I don't know who
but yeah, he told me an amazing story that he was in Cardiff, and basically no one was giving him any props, no one was giving him any love, and Digital Steve was the first person to kind of sort of nurture him and show him the way, bring him forwards, get his tunes up, and like if people knew that, you know, I mean, it wasn't that surprising because obviously the wealth of knowledge he must have is evident with the seminal tunes he's made. But like, I mean, what's that relationship been like?
Steve will tell you how it is. He don't mess around.
No.
He's that guy. I've seen Steve tell people how it is. You know exactly where you stand with Steve, and I love that.
Yeah.
I don't do grey area.
Yeah.
Most people that have got that kind of, I'm not sure, they're not in my life as close as other people that are just straight up.
Yeah.
And Steve's always been a straight up guy. Now, what I love about Steve, and I was just saying this last night to my boy as well, it's very rare. Steve genuinely will have your interest for you at heart rather than his own as a label owner, as an artist.
Yeah.
So to the point where he will say, I love this tune, but let me send it to Goldie for you.
Oh wow.
That's Steve, like in a nutshell, because he's so selfless in that way.
Yeah.
You know, and he loves seeing people do things beyond what he can offer people.
Yeah.
And he's just done so much. I hear him on the phone, so like he'll just be in a conversation with someone on Instagram. Yo, call me. Just someone he's talking to, and they'll call him and he'll give him advice and stuff. Yeah. He just loves helping people, and he's brought so many people through. Yeah. Like who you're talking about, I don't know of that. So all these unknown conversations and this mentoring that's happened behind the scenes, that's just Steve's second nature.
Yeah.
And he was the same for me. I call him my baseline bully.
Yeah.
When he always used to tell me my bases were shit. Boring. Now he loves them, but he'd be that kind of on my shoulder in the studio, make the beeline move and dance a bit. That is one note straight. You know, it's got a time and a place, but beeline. And like he's there, and like he's been my baseline bully for 20 years.
Yeah.
And
high contrast. Jesus, just come back. Sorry.
Oh, high contrast.
Yeah, high contrast.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, just pop back into my head.
Man, I didn't think he was
talking high contrast. Sorry,
okay,
just
cool.
because you said something and it made me think. Oh
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, he's just been that straight up talking. Nah, shit, not in it.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, it's subjective.
Yes.
And there was a point with Steve as well. I think it's really important that Steve was. I'll always look up to Steve. Function Records, what him and Dunk, you know, God rest his soul, spirit as well. What they did when they tore the scene in half when it was the Wormhole era, the Bad Company thing. Yes. They came in with Phantom Force, bang, just tore the scene a new one, and it was just for such a dark track to do such damage was just I'm getting goosebumps just saying it.
I'm getting goosebumps. That's what I mean.
Like literally what that tune did was just insane, and what they did as well, Digital and Spirit, and then what Digital's done, Dubzilla and Function. I'll always respect and look up to that.
Absolutely.
What we're talking about?
We're talking about Digital and about how amazing he is, basically. Because no, I'm you know, from Space Funk, even like, you know, Blue Note days. I was here with Ink the other day. You know, you had Space Funk that used to tear down Blue Note, and it's like in every era, like, you know, every 5, you know, maybe not even 5 years, every 3 years, he just comes out with a monumental tune that just sort of shuts everything down. And I've always had the utmost respect for him, and you know, obviously your relationship with him was quite close, and so that's why I was just quite interested.
Yeah, I can't remember, there was a point, but yeah, Steve's always it's certain philosophies that Steve's got as well that I've adhered to. Like he always says he makes tunes for DJs.
Yes.
Even though you might not feel that at the time.
Right, okay.
I mean, certainly don't even get the respect for the whole halftime. I mean, when you think of Deadline and certain early tracks,
absolutely,
like, you know, but he's always said, I make a tune and I want everyone from Nicky to Fabio to play it, and everyone in between. And he's actually done that.
Absolutely.
Like, you'll get Nicky, Andy, Fabio, Kemi, Storm, Goldie, Kenny Ken. And he does that.
Everyone plays the tune.
But he don't sell out. Sell out, whatever that even means. But he does digital.
Yeah.
And so it shows you that it is possible to stick to your guns and have everybody. And there's not many artists out there that can do that. You have to fit in his pocket. But you listen, I was listening to a Bad Company set the other day. Again, I love the whole era. Yeah. And in the middle of their set, in comes Deadline. In amongst all of this Bad Company stuff, free rewinds and stuff. And then, you know, Andy still constantly drops Deadline and Phantom Force. And, you know, and it's just certain philosophies that, you know, he said, like, I want all the DJs to play it. And I'm doing an album for Function at the moment.
I was going to say, yeah.
And he said, look, I want Fabs, I want everyone to be playing these tunes.
Yeah.
Like, let's, but still be you with it.
Yeah.
But let's kind of have something for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's kind of spilled into the project I'm doing for Function as well. So he's just a stand-up, kind of selfless guy in that sense. Knows what he wants. And he don't care about the name either.
Yeah.
Like, there's people that have sent him remixes of big tracks that he'll play. He's not just put it out because they've got a name. He'll put out what he likes.
Yes.
And he'll bring the artist through all the time.
Yeah.
Does not care. If he likes a tune, he'll put it out. He knows what he wants.
Yeah.
And he helps a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
Big up Steve.
Absolutely. Hope you're good, mate. And Amit is another person like I think's considered like, again, it's sort of like, obviously you've had your career and you were sort of singular in that, but I noticed there was always sort of similar people around you. So Steve was one, Amit was another.
Well, because Amit and I hooked up in 1999.
Yeah.
Our first track nearly got signed to Moving Shadow.
All right.
So I knew Dom. I was going out to Moving Shadow and collecting DATs and CDs to cut Dom dubs.
Yeah.
And we did this track called Gadget. I met Amit at Music House in '99, cutting dubs with. He's working with Dave at the time. A guy called Dave Clarkey. God rest his soul as well. A guy called Clarkey, and they were called Unknown. Not that Dave Clarkey. Dave. I don't think he's got like a drum and bass alias, but another Dave from Slough.
Right.
They were called Unknown Controllers.
Right.
And they were making kind of the Bad Company-esque sound.
Right.
And I was down Music House, you know how it was. Oh, what's that? Can I cut that?
Yeah.
And
you got to cut stuff, right? Yeah, I never got to cut stuff.
Yeah, some people, there's a couple of weird, interesting Music House stories as well, politics and stuff. But so I met Amit down Music House. The next week we were in the studio, we did a track called Gadget, sent it to Dom. Dom was like, yeah, this is going to come. They were doing these Moving Shadow CD compilations.
Oh, yeah, no, I remember them, yeah.
And Dom was like, yeah, this one's going to come. And I went, I'm slide to Moving Shadow.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. I learned like not to say anything till it actually happens.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. So we obviously, at first we were trying to do that whole Wormhole era Bad Company sound together in Slough, and then Digital Spirit came in, and then bang, that was it.
Yeah.
Amit and I were like, that's where we want to be with our sound, and we fell in love with that sound, Digital Spirit. We met Digital down at Music House. Everyone was cutting Gate Man, I think.
Yeah. And that's another battle for. Jesus
listen,
Christ.
that is just, and that's another one. How you imagine Nicky Black Market dropping something deep and dark? Like, it is ridiculous. That tune could be played anywhere to any audience.
Any audience. Yeah. You know what? That one just slipped my memory. Jesus.
So anyway, they were cutting Gate Man.
Yeah.
Me and Amit, when I was like, that's got to be Digital.
Yeah.
Back then you didn't know what everyone looked like.
Yeah.
So I was like, and I went, excuse me, are you Digital?
Yeah.
Steve being Steve, yeah, man, yeah, here's my number, send me some tunes in it. And every week, me and Amit would hook up on a Saturday and Sunday. We'd make 2 tunes every week religiously. Dom would get a CD, Digital would get a CD.
Right.
And we built that relationship up over the years. Amit got stuff on L plays, I got stuff on L plays, and we followed a very similar pattern.
Yeah.
Amit would do interactive, I did it. Amit done Metalheads, I done Metalheads.
Yeah.
So as much as we were doing our things together, Tronic and Rage, when we kind of separated out and Amit really honed in on the halftime thing, I was like, cool, all right, well, you was always on the buttons, now watch me, I'll go and learn Reason.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a jealousy thing. Maybe there was a little bit envious, but it was like, okay, let's do it.
No, but that's how it used to be. People used to push each other, and that's the thing. Because the reason why I mentioned all these people is because all these tunes were getting played at Technicality.
Yeah.
Right, we were murdering all of them. Like it was so important. Again, like we were saying in some of the previous podcasts, certain guests, their tunes just became sort of like part of that Technicality era soundtrack. I mean, I know you said the Wormhole era, but in my head, it's sort of like Slip Through was a tune that I used to play loads. I mean, that's my favourite track of the Wormhole album personally. But like, so many of your tunes have sort of peppered their way in my life, and my sets, and many of the guys who used to play at Technicality would play Outrage tunes, would play Amit tunes, would play Spirit and Digital tunes, and Breakage would always be playing certain tracks, and it was there was a definite kind of like rawness and, I mean, dare I say, honesty. Like, I know that sounds a bit pretentious, but there was no hiding behind what you guys did. It was very clear what you guys were trying to do, which was just destroy dance floors, and I always respected that about your sound. And
cheers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what my point is really. I'm just.
It's interesting because Technicality ended up playing a big part in how my sound shaped as Outrage.
Okay.
So my thing, if you're going to put it in, like describe it, it was big drums and edits,
Yeah.
but with riffs and
Yeah.
rave elements.
Yeah,
It wasn't
yeah, yeah,
quite
yeah.
when I was going down techno.
Yeah.
That wasn't quite there.
Nah.
You know, the B lines were a bit. I was doing different, like again digital, like B line,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
like on a big edit, you think you might just have a big low drone,
Yeah.
and then like obviously you get B lines as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So my thing was. Like this thing called Shutdown. I remember
Yeah.
I came down, you guys were playing it, and
Yeah.
I sampled some weird square wave riff from Aphex to it,
Yeah.
actually.
Oh, wow.
And then the big edity drums and
Yeah.
stuff. So my thing was, as many edits that you can get in that are still flowing,
Yes.
and big rave riffs
Yes.
that I borrowed from the Digital and Spirit thing.
Yeah,
so that was
yeah.
my thing, edits and glitches, and I was
Yeah.
hand doing all my glitch. You know, everyone's using plugins these days to do their like their effect tricks and all their little glitches and stuff.
Yeah.
Painstakingly doing all my edits hand by hand, and
Yeah.
that was my thing. It was like big, bashy drums,
Yeah.
riffs,
Yeah.
and hard.
Yeah.
And Amit was full on half time,
Yeah.
dubby, but also riffs. 'Cause our thing was riffs.
Definitely.
And it's starting. I keep saying to Steve myself, get your riffs out, mate. Get your riffs out for the
Yeah.
lads, because like,
Yeah.
because there's not enough riffs out there. Like in different forms of drum and bass,
Yes.
but in what we do, the rave, the riffs, and
Yeah.
the things you can sing to your mates.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
That's what I mean. You see, I think that's what it I think that's what it is. We can sing your tunes. Like, a lot of the tunes, like, you know, they were like sort of singable. You can sort of play them back and sort of like regurgitate them almost and say, oh yeah, that one that went or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You'd always be there. So what's for you going forward? I mean, you say you're working on an album on Function. You're saying to me the other night it's gonna take a little while. You know what I mean? Maybe or
Yeah, the music's is. I'm getting back in. You know, drum and bass is music production boot camp, man.
Yeah.
Levels are high out there.
Yeah.
I know what I want from it. I'm a technically a better producer, but I'm trying to get that balance of not losing the vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a bit of a getting back into it, getting in the right headspace, and I've been working on it for over 2 years. But other things in life have had to take priority and slowed me down.
Of course.
So my output's not as quick. Steve knows what he wants as well, so
Yeah.
that's a different battle.
Yeah.
Reminds me of the point actually I was saying with Steve. So for the longest time I was just sending Steve demos.
Oh yeah, right. Yes.
And here's a really, and I think people, obviously Steve being a mentor and the most amazing thing ever, but I got to a point I was like, I couldn't please him.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, what am I doing, man? Like, I
Yeah.
just can't.
Yeah.
Then I kind of, hang on a minute, sent some stuff to Duncan. Duncan signed something.
Yeah.
Sent some stuff to Bailey. Bailey signed something.
Right.
Goldie signed something.
Yeah.
So then I got to realise that people have their own opinions that, you know, may not be what other people are into.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, where I've kind of, as much as that period was really important for me to kind of develop as an artist, and as much as I respected Steve's opinion,
Yeah.
didn't necessarily mean my tunes weren't good enough.
No.
They just weren't for him.
It worked for him. Yeah.
So there had to come a point
Yeah.
where I was confident in my own production. This is a tip for producers out there. There will come a point where if you can measure up against your favourite tune and say, okay, this can be in amongst that lot. Or if you're
Yeah.
DJing it out and it's kind of there.
Yeah.
And then people started to sign it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, it's just not for Steve.
Yeah.
But it's for Goldie.
Yeah.
Like Steve didn't like my Metal stuff.
Yeah.
But Goldie did.
Yes. Yeah.
So, you know, it's an important thing for a producer to,
Not to
you know,
be
when you get
disheartened.
feedback and mentors and stuff, it's always, you know, you need to be your own best and worst critic.
Yeah.
And as long as you can remove yourself as the creator of the music and hold it up against where you want to be,
Yeah.
and hand on heart say it's there or it's not there, not
Yeah.
getting gassed about you've got better since your last track.
Yeah.
Would you dance to it? Would you buy it? Would you listen to it over and over?
Yeah.
And when you're listening to it side by side, does it stand up against it?
Yeah.
That's all the judgment.
See,
you
now I'm
need.
starting to think about my own tunes right now. It's like,
But that's the
yeah.
ultimate. That's the
Yeah.
ultimate factor. Like when
Yeah.
you can do that, and you have to be really honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And it's hard because
Yeah.
you're precious about being the creator.
Yeah.
And you don't want anyone to say anything bad about it.
No. See that? You're making me. I'm sorry now because I'm thinking about all the tunes I've got. It might I'm thinking.
Would you sign it? Like I said something to someone the other day. Like I can't mention any names, but I got this release for some big artists. I closed my eyes and listened to it from an A&R and a feedback perspective. Big people. Like, I wouldn't sign it.
Yeah.
I'd have a lot to say technically.
Yeah.
But it's a big name on a big label. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
But I just think that sometimes that's sort of happening more now. Really, it's almost like, oh, there's a track from this individual. We would like to be associated with this individual as a label.
It's business.
So
It's business.
that's the thing.
So that's what I loved about Stephen and Function. You don't care who you are. If he's in it, he'll put it out.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a level of quality control there that is not as it was.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
you know.
But he's maintaining that and long show raise. So what about, so you had your own sort of dabblings with labels as well, right? I mean, what's happened?
Yeah, I have a few labels. So
Yeah.
Backlash has been going since 2007, but
Yeah.
only had 11 releases.
Yeah.
Maybe that's similar to from when you started in perspective. How long ago was the actual? You've obviously had loads more releases, but I remember you saying the first one was like
the first one was 97 officially. Yeah.
What catalogue number are you up to?
30.
Oh, that's still healthy, but yeah.
38. But I've got like 6 projects.
That's still healthy. I mean, for me to be however many years, I only have 11 releases. But in between that, there was J-Tech.
That's what I mean. You had the J-Tech. I mean, you literally invented a genre, man. I mean, like,
Yeah, it's timing. Dubstep was at its peak.
Yes.
No one was entertaining slower dance music that was faster than house and techno, other than dubstep.
Yeah.
So it was just the wrong time until Scream put an Amen in for the Kill remix, LaRue.
Right.
And he was on the front of, I think, DJ Mac. Scream has brought back rave music. I was like, okay, cool. I'll send you Scream all of the J-Tech tracks for a hot minute. But Scream, big up Scream, you're a G.
You got all the credit, didn't you? And
but no, it weren't, because I think it was a timing thing.
Yeah.
Because at that point, people would just bring it, not at all, I don't think we were responsible for that, but people started to bring break beats back into their sound and stuff. And, dubstep, a few breaks and stuff. But anyway, and then Nominate Sound off the back of the Temper project. So I did the album for Temper, and I was like, this is cool, but I want to do more with Nominate. I'm not a dubstep artist.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be associated with that, of course. I've got a new love and respect for something I was ignorant towards. Toured the world off the back of the Nominate project, but I want to do more. I want Nominate to put a grime track out with a Japanese MC, which I did.
Yeah.
I want to do house and techno on the label, which I did.
Yeah.
I want to put out a trip hop album on the label, which I did.
Yeah.
And I want it to be, because I was into so many different types of music, and I wanted my label to represent that. And as myself as an artist, we've put out everything on Nominate Sound that you can think of: jungle, house, techno, grime, dubstep.
And is it all mostly your stuff at the moment? Or is it?
There's brought a few heads.
Cool.
Yeah. Cocktail Party Effect. He done some stuff for. Was it RNS as well, actually, or what's the sister label called again?
Apollo.
Cocktail Party Effect. He's rolling with Raiden now and his Kamikaze Space Project thing.
Right.
But I just wanted to be free. But the great thing is now when I go out and do a Nominate set, people know that I might drop a house, techno, grime, jungle, and it's great.
So Nominate would be more like, it would be sort of 135, like 155.
I started to squeeze in some 120 things on my Temper journey, which was nice. Kind of the same vibe, but 120, maybe a bit more of a 4/4 here and there, and it was cool, man. And then some other Temper artists started to follow suit, and then Temper signed Apple Blim. He was doing, so it was kind of, because Temper were known for doing that sort of flavour anyway, and I kind of forced it in. My actual Temper album was 50%, no, I'd say just over a third 140, just over a third, no, just under a half 140, just under a half 130, 120, and there was a random halftime drum and bass track on there. But I just wanted Nominate to represent all the stuff I was listening to. I was listening to Burial, I was listening to house and techno, I was listening to jungle. So I kind of broke that tie with Temper to allow me to do that. And Nominate Sound is the label. I've brought Backlash back. It's very slow at the moment. We've had a couple of releases this year, but
And so what would be the difference then with that?
Backlash is straight up drum and bass.
Right.
Just it's my baby that I launched in 2007. We had 5 vinyl releases. Toured it, and just bringing that kind of no rules drum and bass back. Right. And having a home for that to do what I want when I want and bring some new artists through. But it's just drum and bass label. Whereas Nominate Sound is anything goes.
And do you get involved with? Because I must admit, there was always something quite distinct with all the design with a lot of your stuff. You've always been. Is that something you've always been interested in?
Yeah, so logos and stuff, like obviously the Backlash logo was a B and an L, even though everyone thinks it's fabric.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's a lowercase B and a capital L. I drew that, and Matt Insight from Brighton, wherever you are, Matt, no one knows where you are now, I hope you're cool. Remember Insight? Matt Insight?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard from him, but he was doing some wicked shoes at one point.
Yeah, back in the day. Shit, yeah.
He disappeared, man. He did disappear. So anyway, he designed the logo, and that was the Backlash logo. E and a B, education and bass. Yeah. So it's kind of a bit of a B and an L, E and a B.
For perspective, mate, it's fine.
Nominate, I sketched that. Well, that's actually a font. It's an N and an O off of it's an N and an O with a line under it and a funky font. Kind of bold, kind of more logo vibed.
Yeah.
Is what I go for, bold
Yeah.
and kind of, I guess, thinking of metalheads and
Yeah.
certain labels that you can see the logo and
Yes.
recognise.
Yeah.
That's my vibe
Yeah.
with artwork. But
Reinforced there as well.
Reinforced.
Yeah.
But yeah, just having that iconic sort of kind of symbol, if you like. But yeah, I've always been sketching and I'd jam stuff out on Canva and stuff myself. Yeah.
So what's in the future for you? I mean, obviously, education and base is going to be growing. What would you like to see, or where would you like to see education and base maybe?
Yeah, we're working nationally.
Yeah.
And I'd like to kind of have a national situation where we're helping people on mass scale. Because the good that we're doing, as great as it is, I want to do it I know we can do it on a bigger scale and help more people.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of proof of concept now that we can grow those projects into kind of, because it's hard to get into certain, like, everyone's like, who's this, we're not a charity or an organ, who's this company trying to come into this sector. So there's been a lot of kind of proving our worth.
Yeah.
And it's taken a few years for us, because we've been chipping away at this stuff for a few years.
So what would that have been like from the sort of like the SAE? Yeah, SAEs and so. I'm not slagging off SAE or any of the other schools, but have they been sort of, have they reached out? Have they like looked to work with you guys?
We've done bits and bobs, partnerships, affiliations with SAE and stuff like that, but everyone's out for themselves, aren't they? I had to learn this quite quickly. I'm all about, again, is it an old school? I'm about crews and working in numbers.
Yeah.
But that mentality just seems to not be a thing in the world anymore. Like a label with artists and crews. Women Shadow, Reinforced, Metalheads, V, you name it. It was a crew thing.
Yeah, there was a crew thing, yeah.
And
no, it's not that.
That's me as a person. Like, and it's kind of why JTech didn't end up doing its thing, because I wanted to bring a crew together. And then in the end, Tema, we did a project with Raiden, Digital, and it was always that crew mentality.
Yeah.
But I found that in business very quickly, that when everyone throws the partnership affiliation thing at you, really they're out for themselves.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that the hard way, because I'm like,
yeah.
wicked, we can like really win. We're all winning here.
Yeah.
But actually, when I dug deep into it, it's all about you, and you actually don't give a shit about me.
Right.
And I had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah.
So I've realised that certain partnerships and stuff, like we have come across people.
Yeah.
We're working with Leicestershire Music, they're an organisation, and we're in partnership with them.
Yeah.
And they support us, we support them, and we're building some great things in Leicester. But you just got to go through the bullshit to find the realness, and that's taken a bit of a thing, man. To find.
It can be, because it's like, but I always envisioned that you'd start a school, man. Like actually have a physical place.
I'd love, and I was looking before COVID. I was looking around here actually.
Yeah.
I was looking for a space, and I would love that. We've had no investment of education and base. Everything that's ever been earned, I've pumped everything back in. I've always been the last, to the point where I had 6-10 people I was paying every month. We've had to reduce things post-COVID to kind of keep things moving. But I've always, every penny that's come in, I've pumped it all back. We've never had investment, and we've been going 5 years. Yeah. So it is on the radar. I would absolutely love to have a school, and we've got. I was speaking to Dexter the other day about his space and potentially, kind of maybe doing stuff around there and stuff like that. But absolutely, I'd love a space, because you can't be in person.
No.
And we're doing a lot more in person now, but there's nothing we own ourselves.
So just going back to just something that just popped into my head when you said that, because like obviously you've been going around to all the different schools, these different spaces, prisons, all this type of stuff. What's the setup like? I mean, is it that you have like a whole bunch of laptops and everyone gets to sit in front, or is it sort of like just one laptop projected and then sort of teaching people? Or, like,
I've bought laptops up my own pocket, MIDI controllers, headphones. Bowl into a school. Some of them have we can use things like BandLab, that's a free online door. It's great, kind of like Soundtrap. It's really cool. BandLab, so you might go into schools, and a lot of them do have Chromebooks. A lot of them don't. They've got the money, so we'll bowl in with some older MacBook Airs that I've got on the website. And we're mobile with it.
BandLab. I forgot about that.
Because
it's I got shown the. I was on the sort of. It was like a sort of test committee. I can't remember who that was through actually, how I was invited to do that. But it was, they showed us the whole online thing. It's an amazing. You should check it out, BandLab, if you don't have it. But it's, most of these places you're talking about as a demographic of has it mostly been guys? I mean, have you seen any sort of uptake from women, or in terms of production? Because it's something that's always kind of bugged me.
So in the schools, we'll go it's a class.
Yeah.
And the class will be absolutely mixed.
Obviously, yeah.
In every way possible.
Yeah. Obviously,
you know?
in prison it'll be different, yeah.
Yeah. Although they have said to us there's a female prison that they really want to try and get us into.
Right.
Because they really think that they'd enjoy it and want it.
Yeah.
So, you know, there is scope there as well. But, you know, generally when you go into... It's a bit unfortunate when you go... Well, because we guessed at colleges and universities and stuff. And you walk into a music technology cohort. And, yeah, unfortunately...
It's mostly men.
There's mostly men.
Yeah.
And even when I was teaching for 7 years at the college,
Yeah.
you'd have 1 or 2 at a push in a class of 20, you know. And so it wasn't as good as it could be. But, yeah, it just... I guess we're put into a situation where the learners are already kind of... there under whatever circumstances. Up in Nottingham, that was cool.
Yeah.
But what we were delivering was a music enterprise diploma, so it's basically music business.
Right.
So we had singers, dancers, songwriters, so
Right.
we weren't beat makers.
Right.
And we were teaching them business.
Right.
Marketing, sales, business plans, all that transferable skill stuff that, you know, some of them have gone on to, or starting to go on to do stuff. But that was like male, female, equal, and for music, but not necessarily making beats.
Yeah.
You know, so
It's going forwards. Wow. I mean, I'm trying to think what else I want to talk to you about, man. Because we could probably sit here for a while. Was there anything you could think of that you wanted to say?
I'm open to anything, man. I mean,
I like your, you know what, actually, your sort of like, your daily kind of, I don't want to say affirmations because that sounds really wanky, but you know, like your tips. Like, you know, you were doing them, you did like 360, you did
7 years. 7 years.
You did a tip a day?
Most days for 7 years.
But wasn't there a period where you were going for like one a day? Like, there was definitely a year where you were definitely trying to do one a day, wasn't
Yeah, like, it was daily for 2.5 years, no break.
Right.
Even when I was in bed with flu,
Yeah.
daily. And then it was most days, give or take one whatever day a week, for 7 years in total.
Yeah.
And but yeah, like, you know, a lot came from that as well with the mental health awareness.
Yes.
I remember the first time I did a tip I was teaching at the college on anxiety.
Yeah.
I recorded it, I deleted it because colleagues had my Facebook. Some students had found out that, you know, you got to be careful what you say in the class.
Right.
You know, but they found out I was an artist, and obviously I'm playing some of my music because it's not, you know. But they found out who I was, and they were following my page, and I thought twice about it, and it was my first one on anxiety, and I deleted it. And I thought, nah, I've got to post this, man, because I'm a teacher, I'm an artist, I'm struggling. I think there's other people that might want to hear this.
Yeah.
And I ended up posting it, and when I went into college the next day, my colleagues and the students were like, "Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is stuff that we're experiencing, and I felt like I was going to lose my job." And that's the problem with it.
Yeah.
People, a big part of why people don't speak, because I'm a teacher. Students are looking up to me.
Yeah.
They're not. That's what I thought at the time.
Yeah.
I've got to be that authority.
Yeah.
My colleagues, are they going to think that I'm not going to be able to do my job? I was like, nah, squash that. If they sack me, bollocks.
Yeah.
And I posted it, and then it gave me the confidence to do more of it and just speak it as it was every day. So all of those tips, people are like, how do you think of them? It literally was, whether if it was a technical one, it was something that I experienced that day in the classroom with a student or in the studio making a beat.
Yeah.
If it was a mental health thing,
Yeah.
it was what was going on in that moment. So it was never a problem to think of the tips.
Yeah.
It was just what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Speak about it.
Yeah.
And the mental health thing got more and more, and people were just very, very grateful that I was being open about mental health.
Yeah, because you building your physical fitness, and you know, you like sometimes you're in a gym like The Rock, you know what I mean, like, you know.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It was in those moments of just like feeling good. I'd just done a workout, I was buzzing.
Yeah.
Let me share some positivity. You know what I mean? Like, I feel good right now.
Always help me, man.
You know what I mean?
There's a couple where you want to go for a run, and I'll be like, no, I'm not doing them. I'm too old, man. But I do need to get fit again. And you were saying you've been doing Thai boxing.
Muay Thai, yeah.
Muay Thai.
Started that. It's been 4 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, what instigated that? Like, was it just you just wanted to go and do
I was
it?
wanting to get into it. My dad stuffed an old army bag and hung it up in the shed when I was young, and bought me a pair of boxing gloves and a coconut for one of my birthdays.
Boxing?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, exactly. My dad was alcoholic, right? He'd go out and bring back some random presents. So
wait. So a boxing glove and a coconut?
yeah.
What was the coconut for?
Who knows? I remember it though. You know what I mean? Like, you remember that for the rest of your life. It's like, I'm talking this was...
Where did the coconut go? Like,
I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
You might have stole it. Who knows where the coconut came from.
Okay.
So, I must have been... I'll never forget that. That's what I mean. That was a present I'll never forget, man. Like, these kids now, they get all these things and forget. They never remember them. I got a coconut. Must have been like 6th, 7th birthday. pair of boxing gloves that were like way too big, like level worn and stuff. And he had this. He was in the forces, so he had long army bags.
Yeah.
Stuffed it with old clothes, hung it in the shed.
Yeah.
And I used to fancy myself as a bit of a boxer because he was a boxer. And I tried everything. I did judo once or twice, fell out of it. Couldn't afford to keep going. It's like they'd do like 3 sessions, first 2 sessions free.
Yeah.
So I did the rounds of like doing those first 3 sessions.
Right.
Kung fu, karate,
Yeah.
and then parents weren't paying for that.
Yeah.
And the money for like however much it was a week.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to get into some sort of fighting kind of sport, if you like. And started Muay Thai a few years ago. It was experience sparring, and like I said to you, having these 18-year-old kids like setting about me and like shaking me up and stuff. But mentally and physically, Muay Thai, it's 8 limbs, it's everything, man.
Yeah.
Like, you get on the heavy bag for a half hour,
Yeah.
you know about it.
Yeah.
So
I did Muay Thai for about 6 weeks. Started sparring, went into the ring with a guy called Hakan. I'll never forget it. He punched me in the face once. I literally just took my gloves off then, and I was like, no. It's like, because I didn't want to get hit in the face all the time.
I got kicked in the face by a big tall guy.
Yeah.
And kicking me in the face weren't a thing for him.
Yeah.
And I saw stars.
Yeah.
and I was like, and for a few weeks,
Yeah.
I was like, please don't say we're sparring. Please don't say we're sparring.
Yeah.
And the young ones, can we spar? Can we spar? I'm like, nah, don't. I'm not sparring. I was shook.
Yeah.
But it was great to kind of overcome that sort of stuff because here's me giving it big one after loads of vodka. I'll fight anyone.
Yeah.
Or in those situations, if someone's got some skills,
Yeah,
it's some next level like psychology going on.
Yeah, you'll get done, mate. Yeah, I mean, I want to watch out for that in the future. But I will try not to get myself in any sort of trouble going forwards. Well, look, Andrew, bruv, I mean, I'm so glad you come because, like, one of the reasons why I started this podcast is because to get a different perspective from people in the scene who you only know as a DJ or as a producer, and obviously people know you for the education and bass thing and everything else. But, just to hear your story in regards to the mental health aspect and, the challenges you've gone through and everything else. And this has been really enlightening because actually I'm hearing things now for the first time myself that you haven't even told me. So I really, really appreciate you sharing all that with me, man. And I don't know if you want to give any shouts or...
Shout out to anyone in my Outrage years. I know I've spoke to a lot of people on a one-on-one, but if you come across me in times of terror, big apologies, man. I was a dick. Yeah, it was me. It weren't alcohol, it was me. I like to think I'm working towards a better self, but big up and apologies if you come across that basically. But yeah, just big up to everyone that's constantly supporting. No, it's real, man, because
no,
certain things I don't know. People are like, I remember that time. No,
yeah. It was some crazy stories, guys. Yeah. But it wasn't that bad. I mean, I just remember a few times, but it wasn't really that bad. And and likewise, apologies for anyone that thinks I'm a dick as well, because there's been loads of occasions where I've definitely been one. In very recent times, actually. But yeah, enough said about that. I think we'll leave it there, bruv. Yeah. Thank you very, very much, man. Really appreciate that.
Big up, everyone.
Until next one. This is a good one, mate. Thank you very much.
Nice one.
All right, peace.
Peace.